Welcome to the Fail Forward Podcast. The purpose of this podcast is change the negative stigma around failure into a positive. Failure is only a negative if we do not learn from it and we give up. Welcome back to the Fail Forward Podcast. So today I'm going to be talking about empathy. Now you might be thinking, what has empathy got to do with failure or business or whatever it is that I'll be talking about? Well, it's something that when I met my wife, Sarah, she taught me a lot about empathy, and without her and her teachings, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because it can be really powerful to empathise with somebody and to understand their situation. So I'm going to take you back to a few years ago before the business went under, and things would happen in the business, and I'd go home to my wife and I'd be like, oh, so-and-so's done this, or so-and-so's gone out and broken this chipper, and how dare they, or so-and-so's gone and left for another company. And I'd rant and rave about these people and what they were doing wrong, because I was at the time full of negative energy because things were tough in the business and things weren't going the way I wanted, and I was very much below the line, which I've talked about before: blame, excuse, denial. I was blaming people for things going wrong all the time. And I remember me and my wife almost falling out a few times because she'd go, well, have you thought about it from their situation? What are they going through at the moment? What's happening in their lives? Maybe why are they acting like this? What are they doing? To the point that it almost felt like she was sticking up for them. And it used to really frustrate me because I'd be like, let me rant, let me rave, let me go on about it. And why are you not supporting me? They're in the wrong, they're in the wrong. But now I look back at it, and generally I was in a discomfort place, so I was trying to blame other people, and I probably wasn't keeping my integrity and being a very good human being at all, because I was in a massive place of discomfort. And then I really start to learn empathy and what that means, and it really mellowed me out, because quite often when someone else is not performing maybe to how you want them to be, or doing something wrong, or maybe broken something, rather than just jumping straight into blame and you've done this and you've done that, trying to understand their position, where they're coming from, because it doesn't have to be that they've done it on purpose. You know, quite often, if something's going wrong, say for one of my members of staff, and they're not doing so well at work, it could be because they've got some issues going on at home. And it's really important as a duty of care, rather than just trying to pull them up and pull them in for a disciplinary, to find out what's going on, if there's any way we can support them, if there's anything we can do for them, if they might have some stuff going on with a partner at home, or children, or something like that. And generally when we've done that and start to have empathy for other people and what's going on, you suddenly start to realise that there is a lot more going on, and you get under the layers a couple of times, and then you can give people a bit of wide berth, because quite often people are proud and they don't want to say, by the way, I'm being really difficult and things aren't going so right because I'm just breaking up with my girlfriend or my boyfriend or whatever it is, because we're quite insular as people and we just sort of get by, but we don't realise it's spilling over. So I really wanted to talk to everybody about empathy and how it really changed my perception of people. And actually, when something happens, if someone gives you road rage, is it really they're angry about what you've done, or are they just angry about something that's going on in their life? When somebody barges past you in the street, is it because they're intentionally being vicious to you? No, they're probably just in a rush because they've got something going on. And it's really trying to understand other people's situations and then empathise with them. For example, a really good one that actually worked out massively for me, and this is through empathy. One of the first property deals I did, we had a landlord who was renting his house for 3 years so we could turn it into an Airbnb. And he was turning up every day, the week we were cleaning and getting it ready for our first guests. And my cleaner phoned me up and said, Henry, the landlord's turning up every day and he keeps sort of coming in. And I thought, well, I can't have this when there's guests turning up. My first reaction was to phone the letting agent up and say, you've got to stop the landlord coming round. He can't come round. And then I thought about it and I used empathy and I thought, hang on a minute. This has been this guy's family home for the last 10 years. They've just moved out into a new home. He's now renting it to me and he might not completely, he doesn't know me, he doesn't know who I am. And he's just coming in to check what we're doing to make sure we're not doing anything dodgy or illegal. And he's probably a bit nervous. So I used empathy and I put myself in his shoes and thought, okay, what's going on with him? And what I then did is I phoned the letting agent. Instead of sort of having a bit of a go, I said, do you want to tell the landlord to come along with his wife on Saturday? It was a day that our first guests were checking in at 3:00. Come around lunchtime, because I knew me and Sarah, my wife, were going to be there, just getting the final touches done for our first set of guests coming in. And they turned up and they walked in and they absolutely loved what we've done with our house. We just IKEA'd it basically and cleaned it really, really deeply and changed a few things, done a lick of paint here, one carpet changed, very minimalistic, but they loved what we did with our house and they were over the moon. And since that date, they've not come around again. And even better, which, I didn't do it for this reason, but it just shows how powerful empathy can have. He's referred us to 2 of his friends, who now we've then managed to take on 2 properties for 2 of his friends, which has built our portfolio of Airbnbs even bigger without us having to put much energy in. And that's the power of empathy. It's the good moral thing to do, is to understand where other people are coming from and why they're acting or being the certain way they are. But 2, when you give, you actually get back. And that's not the reason why you do it. But this really powerful thing happened then that, we solved the problem with him turning up every day. He felt a lot safer because he met my wife and he could see what we're doing with his property. So he felt calmer, which is another good thing to do. Plus, we got a great reputation and we got more deals out of it, which is not the reason why we did it, but a massive, massive bonus. So it really pays to have empathy. And if you guys are running businesses and you've got a certain member of staff who's not performing, the first thing I would suggest to do is ask them, are you okay? What's going on with you? What's going on right now? Anything we can help with? Because just asking that question, how are you? What's going on right now in your life might just open up the reason why they're not doing what they say they're doing. And you might not have to go down a HR, disciplinary, whole world of that. They might just need a couple of days off to sort their shit out. They might just need a couple of days or just some time or just a bit of a wide berth for a week, because you understand that there's some bad stuff going on in their life that they're trying to deal with right now. And that's going to, 1, be the right move for you to do. And 2, it's going to make you feel better, them feel better. And then you'll get more commitment from them because you've looked out for them. I very much was hot-headed years ago, and someone not doing something, shout at them, whatever. And I realised that's just makes you feel like shit. It's not good for the other person, and it's just generally not the right thing to do. And I thank my wife Sarah forever, because teaching me empathy has been such a powerful thing in my life, and it's made me much more placid to understand where other people are coming from. We see things in the media all the time, but we're only seeing one side of the story when we see it in the media. We're not understanding where it's come from and what's going on. Whether it's wars, whether it's crimes, whatever, generally someone who's committing a crime is generally in a rationally bad place. I'm not saying crime's good, by the way, but there's usually a reason why somebody is in that irrational, terrible place. There are some bad people in the world. I'm not making excuses for them at all, but we've got to try and understand where people are coming from. It's not always what you think is the problem, whether they're generally being like that. And it's quite a powerful thing to do to empathise with people. And I'm not saying you have to agree with what people are doing and the reasons why they're doing it, but especially when running a business, having a bit of empathy first can save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle. It might be that you ask the question and they're just generally unreliable and pretty, not in a great employee to have. But at least you've gone down that route first and found out whether they have got some stuff going on. And it can really help. And again, it's that sleep well at night. It's doing the right thing. It's having a good company culture. It's looking after your staff. So yeah, that's what I really wanted to share with you guys today. Just having a think about empathy. I'm sure a lot of you people are already doing that, but it's just something that I learned that I wanted to share with you guys, that empathy is really, really powerful. So thank you all for listening to the Fail Forward podcast, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.